Hello, everyone. I'm Lorraine Ollie from the Los Angeles Times. I'm going to be moderating this Handmaid's Season 5 panel. So I'm going to bring everybody out, starting with first, well, we have you on, we're going to have her on Zoom, Yvonne Strahovski, which I probably just mispronounced that. I'm very sorry. Thank you. Yes. She's fantastic. Next is Sam Jaeger. And Max Mangella. Bradley Whitford. Oti Fagbenley. And Elizabeth Moss.
Hi, Yvonne. Can she hear us?
I can.
Hi.
Can you see us?
I can see you when I'm not on the screen. It's
Okay. All right. I am going to just jump right in because we don't have a ton of time. But I wanted to start off. Lizzie, you directed these first 2 episodes that we saw. So what was it like coming back to directing? They're so good. What were some of the kind of new challenges this time around, or some things that you faced this time around that were different?
Yeah, I mean, I've never done the first 2 episodes of anything, so that was a new challenge, which I definitely felt and understood, having worked in TV for a while. They were the biggest episodes we've ever done, on paper and in person, and so that was a challenge. There were a lot of times during the first 2 and the finale, which I directed, when I would go home at night and just kind of be like, I can't believe I'm directing the premiere of The Handmaid's Tale. Like, this is crazy. There were a lot of small challenges, a lot of big challenges. Brad has a great thing that he taught me that he says, tell the ants.
Oh. The very first time I directed something, the script woman very casually turned to me and right before the first shot and said, it's not the lions that get you, it's the ants.
And it's very, very true. You plan and you plan and you plan all of the big stuff, and you put a lot of work into that, and then it's always something really tiny that ends up.
We ran out of gaffer's tape, so we have to stop.
Exactly. That ends up messing with you. So actually, our thing was the day before we started the first episode, the first day, our babies that we had cast got COVID. Well, they're fine. So we had to use our backup babies. So what's actually, because they're our backup babies. And what's actually great is that our backup babies, Olivia and Phoebe, ended up being amazing, and they're the ones that you see in these shows. I know, they're so beautiful and so perfect. So, that was my aunt.
Your ants were the backup babies, okay. And Bradley, you did some directing this season as well. So what was that like for you, dealing with this live from the other side
it
of the
was ultimately a joy. I mean, you're in the cast of a show like this, and we will sort of very casually say sort of devastating things, like, how did, 5-0, whatever turn out? And you'll go, you don't want to direct that episode. You feel like you want it to be good. Lizzie and I talked a little. It's really funny because you would think that the easiest thing for us would be to talk to actors, but I think we all. I have a neurotic relationship with directors. I always say, I go through 3 silent beats anytime any director says anything to me. Fuck you. I suck. Okay, what? And we all get to okay what, but you got to go through that. But I wanted to I was really worried about what the actors thought of the way I spoke to them. Don't you find it neurotic?
Oh my God, one of the first scenes I did was directing Brad and Max, and I was terrified because I had to go up to these two people who I've worked with a lot, admire a lot, but I've also talked shit about other directors with. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna say something so stupid, or they're gonna think I'm so dumb. And they were very kind.
I found myself, like, one thing I think actors hate is when a director goes, like, you're doing something and they go, cut. It's just kind of like inarticulate kind of disappointment. I found myself like doing that. I was like, oh God, stop.
Oh, inarticulate disappointment. That's fantastic. So, Yvonne, I wanted to talk a little bit about, number one, you can talk about them as directors. You can talk shit if you want to. That's fine. But Serena really, particularly when I was watching these first two episodes, June has kind of been this rebel and kind of symbol for resistance. Serena's becoming kind of another symbol, but it looks like it's in Gilead in a different way. I don't know. Can you talk a little bit about her evolution right now, or what she's going through? Because things are changing for her.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's terrified. She's doing everything to kind of try and protect herself and this unborn child. The fact that she knows that June was behind Fred's murder is absolutely terrifying. I just think all she thinks in her mind is, well, she's going to come after me and the baby, and that's it. And so what can I do to really stick it to her? And here it is.
They're poised, or they're already toe-to-toe now. I mean, this is like, setting up to be like the fight of the century. It looks really fantastic where it's going.
I mean, yes, it is. I mean, I think it's all the things, I think one of my favorite things about this season is that we really got to go deep into this relationship between these two women and reach kind of new satisfying heights and highs and lows and everything in between. And I think Lizzie and I always talk about this dynamic that the two women have with each other, and each season it's kind of like, well, how do we redefine it, and how do we make it new and different? Because it's kind of easy, it could be easy to fall back into an old dynamic between these two women, but it's been really special, especially this season. We found there's episodes, kind of in the middle of the season that I can't wait for everyone to see, but we found ourselves finding new stuff in these scenes that we didn't really even expect to find, on the day where I think we both thought that things were going to go a certain way. And then you're, in the moment you're discovering a totally new angle on a scene, which is kind of my favorite part about this whole process is the discovery, and to work with all these wonderful actors that are sitting up there on stage and the people that we're missing. I mean, it's just wonderful to come to work and play and have that kind of play and improvisation. And yeah, that's it. I'll stop laughing.
I have to say, I cannot wait for you guys to see what Yvonne does this year, though. I've told her this, so she knows, but I just think she's doing the best work of her career, and she's just, the performance that she gives that you're gonna see this year is truly awe-inspiring and inspired me so much as an actor. So I can't wait for you guys to see what she brings. It's truly, truly beautiful.
Well, that's what's so great, though, too, from season to season, and particularly this one. I mean, the characters are evolving, right? Because it's hard to do that when you've got, season after season, but you've managed to do this. And I wanted to bring up Commander Lawrence and Nick. You have this strange sort of relationship. maybe for different motivations you're working together. And Commander Lawrence is slippery, but then Nick seems to know that he's in this he knows he's in an oppressive regime, but then he's also kind of like breaking out of, I don't know, can you talk a little bit about that interplay?
Go, baby. How do I articulate our frisson? Brad and I have become friends away from the show, and I think maybe the writers caught on to that and decided to give us some work together. As you can tell, he's very uncharismatic and charmless. So sometimes I yearn for a different scene partner. No, he's they're both kind of similar. They're both slightly, what's the word you use? They kind of have a pragmatism to them, right? That's similar, and a similar humor maybe. And like you said, have more objectivity maybe about Gilead than some of the other people there. I think for Nick, what's interesting about him in terms of how he kind of pushes against the boundaries of this place he's in, like all of us, we need a kind of frame of reference for something in order to change our circumstances, right? You kind of need to see somebody do something different and go, oh, maybe I could do that. And Nick has only ever known Gilead. He's been in Gilead since he was a young boy. So I don't think it ever really occurs to him that there is an alternative to any of this. And even though people come along and propose alternatives, like the gentleman next to me, I think it just never really, I just never think he totally believes it because he's never seen an example of it.
I feel like in very different ways we both share an instinctive suspicion of the Galadian herd, you know? It's kind of always been there for both of us, and I think that Lawrence sees that aspect of Nick as something he can trust.
Oh, okay. There's a collective. So OT and Sam, your characters are seeing this from Canada, right? So first off, for Luke, when June comes back, she's a very different person than when they last were together, and he's dealing with so much trauma and also hopefully recovery. But the show deals with trauma and recovery so well, and also the anger, and is it vengeance? Is it correcting things? Is it heroic? He's kind of stuck in the middle of that with her. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the great things about having such wonderful writers, because they talk about trauma and the various ways it can manifest, and some of them are not so obvious. And I think for Luke, when, there's two big objectives for him. He wants to get June back safe, but he also wants to get Hannah back safe. And so June comes back and she's kind of monomaniacally focused on Serena. And I think Luke is a bit like, yeah, but we got to don't forget the bit about which of course is always there for June, but just seeing her going after Serena, it's kind of like, hey, we've got a baby at home, we've got another baby to save, and it's like he's torn. And I don't know, it's really interesting, I think, how the series progresses, because I don't want to give away stuff, but it gets interesting.
Well, I think it does get interesting. I think they have to learn to sort of be together again now. They're not the couple that they were before June, was kidnapped in Gilead, and they have to sort of, try to find each other now.
I just to jump in, I don't want to jump in on you, Sam, but a lesser show, lesser writing, just for Lawrence, my character would have had an epiphany and very unrealistically become, a heroic rebel within, some sort of North Korean fascist. A lesser show, the violence would be cleansing. and without repercussion and simply satisfying. And I love the writer's instinct to not give in to the to do justice, to really take for real what a character like June is up against, and just lashing out is not going to solve it.
And just from talking, and I want to ask you this question, Sam. I'll get to it in a second. But just from talking to Bruce Miller, showrunner who does Handmaids, he's talked about pulling a lot of these situations and a lot of the things that are written about from real life situations, from real life, refugee situations, or whether it's totalitarian governments. Or it's fascinating when he's talking about, and that's why I think a lot of it feels so realistic as well. But with Sam, with Mark, he's dealing with, he's got to deal with the devil, basically, but he's also, he's moving between Gilead and Canada and whatever the United States was, and he's also dealing a lot with Serena. He seems torn, but he also seems like he's playing two sides. Like, what are his motives? What is he doing? What the hell is he doing? That's my question.
I think wherever Mark goes, he's just hoping to get shit on by everybody. and so this season, it's, I've gotten shit on by Serena a lot. I think it's time to pay a visit to June and Luke.
I'm gonna go by June's house. There's so many times when we have a scene with Sam, a scene with Mark, where we're like, Mark, this could have been an email. Like, why are you, like, you just show up so I can fucking shit on you. Like, so I can tear you apart, scream in your face,
I guess that's the part of it. I mean, I think Mark is trying to hold space for a lot of people, but he's also trying to hold on to what he believes in, the memory of democracy, the memory of what America was. And there are lots of people nowadays who want to hold on to that. And whether it's a romance or whether it's better to go back, I think he kind of represents that. But it's, there's a lot of politics involved, and so he's always trying to hold his cards close because he doesn't have many cards to hold. It's Hawaii and Alaska. That's pretty much it. So.
He kind of represents our best hope for democracy, which is getting shit on every day.
That's right.
Unfortunately.
Let's talk a little bit about democracy getting shit on and how the show has been so amazingly close to the bone with what we're experiencing in reality, and sometimes ahead of the curve. It was astounding, some of the things that I'd see in the show, and it would happen. You'd see it 2 weeks later on the news, and it's like, whoa, out here. So I just want to throw this out to all of you. Can you talk about how the show is able to hit that balance between being entertaining, but also kind of speaking to truths about where we are now, or where we could end up, or where we are now? If you listen to what Lindsey Graham rolled out today, an abortion ban for the entire U.S. So I don't know. Can we talk a little bit about how the show has hit that balance? Anyone?
I'll yak a little. Unfortunately, the book was prescient when I read it in 1985. Fascism is Margaret Atwood was talking recently. I have grown up my entire life where I've taken for granted the inevitability of democracy in a more inclusive society. It is an aberration. You have to fight for it and protect it, or it will go away. She said a really terrifying thing recently. She said, I know this is going to be upsetting to some people, but we have to acknowledge the fact. It's one of the problems that the advocates of a progressive democratic society face when confronting the rise of fascism. She said, you have to acknowledge the fact, and it's pathetic, but it was fun to be a Nazi. And there is a joy that you can see in our culture that is the most disturbing thing to hate. You know, fuck your pronouns. You know, there is a joy that is very, very dangerous. And that is going on now. But unfortunately, she's been prescient just because she knows that misogyny is at the reptilian brainstem of white nationalism. It always has been. And yeah, it's scarily, unfortunately, relevant. But I think we've gone through this period of taking the freedoms we had and the freedoms of others as something that we didn't have to nurture. And you know, we thought we just got a democracy, and it turns out you got to make it every damn day.
Isn't he great?
It's fantastic. Our work's done here, I think, basically.
Can I say one more fucking thing?
Yes.
Just while I have you. No, part of the problem, part of the reason progressives are at a disadvantage is because we think that culture is the way you create your moral vision, and it's very important, and it's part of it. But the right understands that politics is the way you create your moral vision. Will and grace won't help you if you have a pre-existing condition. And if you're a 10-year-old rape victim in Ohio, this show will not help you. You have to participate in the political process, or we won't make any progress. Now I'll shut.
I think another one of the wonderful things that this show has done, though, it showed how the U.S. got to be Gilead, how it slid, right? You were just there. You know, particularly season 2, like, really showed you how this could happen. And it's not the idea that the show, you know, can help you politically or save you, but it can give you like a reality check in a way of like, look, you are taking this for granted, and you see it playing out right there. But okay, so I wanted to get back to something with June. So she's considered in some circles a hero, and in others a great threat. How do you see her? And I'd be interested to know what you guys would say too. I mean, how do you see her? Because there's vengeance, but there's also rescue, and she's doing a lot of different things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. How I see her is through the, you know, a very specific lens of an actor who's trying to play her. So as I see her, she's neither, or both. You know, I see her as human because it's my job, obviously, not to sort of pigeonhole in any particular place. I see all of these characters as human, actually. I see Serena very much as human. I think that she's a woman, a human, a wife, a mother, a friend who has been through an extraordinary experience that is now trying to figure out how to survive and how to be all of those things to all of the people that she needs to be them to. That's how I look at it, because that's the best way for me to find my way into the character, you know? How do you guys see her?
I was listening.
Okay. Did you want to say something?
So how do I see her? I see June as just this beautiful,
Good.
fearless, brave.
Yeah.
Good start.
So far, so good.
Luke, anything you want to add to?
Oh yeah, put me on the spot. No, nothing to add. Nothing to add. I think you said it all. Really beautiful and fearless. I double down on that.
Wait, can I? Sorry, I just want to go back to something really quickly that Bradley is saying, and it resonated with me. You know, I grew up in Ohio, and yeah, OH. And I think, you know, all my siblings do community service. That's their job. They help the community every day. And I think a lot about how to reach people in the Midwest, how we communicate, and whether what we're doing matters. And it's hard. It's hard to figure out how to reach across, how to not just pander to what is a progressive society who is willing and ready to digest our show for what it is. What I love about Handmaid's Tale, despite how it can be weaponized for or against one platform, is at its center, it's people still searching for commonality and spirituality, and they lose their way. And I love that in 10 years' time, God willing, or deity willing, this show will inch us closer towards justice, towards what is right. And it is a complex time, but I do feel like what we're doing matters, not just to one side, but to all. That we show the complexities of each human being, Serena and June, and everybody in between on that spectrum. And that's one of the things I'm most proud of this show. And I hope we continue to do that through our sixth and final season.
Okay, so I know, Bradley, you haven't talked a lot, so I wanted to just talk about Commander Lawrence for a second. He is enigmatic and he is hard to figure out. Is he a political being? Is he a, who is he? Because that's why he's so fascinating, because he's really hard to figure out. Have you figured him out?
Oh God, no. Part of the power of June is her ability to blow on the spark of decency. In Nick, in a romantic context, in me, in a kind of paternal, funny uncle context. She changes us, and I love that. Like, it's a very interesting sensation playing this guy, because it's not static. It's a lot of issues come up this year about between June and me about how do you make change? Do you, and it's a legitimate argument both ways, do you simply not accept the system, or in a world like, unfortunately, the world we're in, where it seems like our open society is in retreat, and that free market capitalism has kind of broken our little planet, is an open society and even reasonable aspiration, or would it help to, kind of take what is North Korea and kind of make it China? So it's, he's definitely wrestling with stuff, and I find the sensation of playing him is not about sort of narrowing down, but kind of opening things up. It's a really fun thing to act.
I can't see how much
It's not
time
worth
we
it.
have. Was that a soggy clap? That was kind of a soggy clap.
Yeah. It's like my cousin is out there going, why is he talking again?
All right, until somebody flags us, I'm just going to keep going because I don't know. Oh, there you are. So is that a 5 minutes? Okay, thumbs up. All right, we have 5 minutes. So in
So,
Before we walked out here, we were told we had 30 minutes, and Lizzie said, well, Bradley will take 20, so.
I think it's very important for a man to explain this show. The thing about misogyny.
All right.
What Lizzie's trying to say.
Okay, now we have 3 minutes. Okay, so I just wanted to go quickly down the line. If you could say in just a line or two, kind of sum up. Oh, this isn't gonna work. All right, okay. Either in a few lines or words, sum up season 5, or where you want to see the show go with season 6.
Brad? I don't know. God, I'm not good at that. I mean, just summing things up in a few words. But for me, what I really feel like this season is about is it's very much about June versus Serena, but it's also June versus Offred and Serena versus Mrs. Waterford. And I could apply that to all the characters in the sense of it's about the version of yourself that existed and the version of yourself that's trying to exist now for the person that you're going to be in the future. That to me is what the season is about and what I've been thinking about. And then season 6, what was the question?
Oh, that was it. You could either talk about 5 or what you wanted to see with 6. But you
Good.
Yeah, you had the option.
Perfect.
That's great.
Thank you.
Well, I guess for me, one of the things that stands out for me this season is sometimes, you watch the show and like you desperately want change, you desperately want someone to break out or to connect, and I'm just marveled that this season the writers just took big. It gets so big and I cannot wait for you all to see it because it gets crazy. And that's what I got to say about it.
I just want to do more self-promotion and press.
Great.
No, I have no idea where it's going. I really don't.
I hope, this is a very sentimental answer, I hope season 6 is really long. Because they announced it the other day and I got really sad. It's really weird to think about. This has been a huge chunk of our lives now. And it sort of happens without you realizing it.
Bigger chunk of yours than mine.
Hey, baby.
This means nothing to Bradley.
It's just a blip. So I'll be sad to see everyone go. And yeah, it's gonna be horrible. So I hope it's really long. 24 episodes.
To go off everyone's words here, this is such a unique group. I've worked with so many large casts, and for these people to be so in line with getting themselves out of the way to tell a story, I just marvel at how big picture these people are. They love the show, and they're always trying to make it better. Every day we go to work, and they're trying to make every scene better. And then I hope Bradley gets to do more self-promotion. And I love what Lizzie said about how complex these characters are, and man, just getting to see the nuances of where these characters go. It's so exciting to share with you guys, so thanks for having us.
And Yvonne.
I guess the one thing I'll say, everyone's answers are so fabulous. I hate going last. But this season, there were a couple of times when I was reading the script and I just was like, oh gosh, like I have to read this with one eye shut and one eye open because I almost couldn't take it. It was just too much, actually. And that was just reading it. So hopefully we've done it justice by performing it, and and it has the same real effect. It is such a brilliantly written show, and I'm so very excited for this season. It also skimmed very close to home for me personally, just thematically. So so that was interesting as well.
Well, thank you. Thank all of you. Thank you for being here. And that's it.